Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Eddie Buffalo Variety Show number 21. Today's sponsor is a brand new sponsor to the show, and that is Copper North. It's coppernorth.com, which is COPPERNORTH.com. We want to introduce Copper North, where wellness works and luxury lasts through every night's sleep. The unique pillowcases are crafted from 100% pure silk and infused with copper. Amazing. Nature's multitasker for healthier skin and hair. Copper's natural antibacterial and collagen boosting properties help soften fine lines, reduce inflammation and breakouts, and promote a radiant complexion overnight. Silk smooths hair, minimizes frizz, and adds a touch of indulgence to every night's rest. Together, copper and silk create a sleep experience that's both restorative and refined, merging skincare science with luxury. It's available in 5 colors and 3 sizes. Every Copper North pillowcase is designed to elevate the everyday, and yes, they are machine washable. Oh, and the unboxing experience is an Instagrammer's dream. I can't wait to see it when I get mine. It's sleep, science, and silk. Copper North makes natural luxury accessible. And because you're a wonderful listener to all of our shows here at EVI Media, when you check out, you can use the promo code Buffalo and actually get 15% off your order. So check out our brand new friends, coppernorth.com. And it sounds like their pillowcases do freaking everything. So check them out. Welcome, everybody. We were going to do potluck with Donnie Lowe, but we had to actually switch up some things because Donnie's still not feeling very well. A lot of people that I know seems like they're having trouble with losing their voices. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are praying for me to lose my voice, which I don't blame them. But all the comments and statements by Eddie Buffalo are purely for entertainment purposes. So I thought I would do something fun today. Whoops, as I knock over my phone there, sorry. And I forgot I'm not on TikTok with our TikTok friends. I thought I would go down memory lane and tell some stories about my youth. I'm talking about when I was a young man of 18, 19 years old, somewhere around there. And I started working as a bellhop at the Hyatt Regency Buffalo. And at that time, the Hyatt had only been open up for a short time. So it was the premier place to stay. And I met so many people. It's ridiculous. I would tell my daughters these stories and they're like, yeah, whatever. They didn't believe me. And I really wouldn't believe half the stories that I tell, to be honest with you. I'm going to start with a couple bands that kind of surprised me, you know. Well, I want to start off with a downer and then I'll build up to fun stuff. Unfortunately, one of the most rudest, ignorant people I ever met in rock and roll was someone that, you know, supposedly has a good heart, does a lot for, you know, people in general, gives a lot to charity, does a lot of charity work. Well, at the time I met him, he was a big a-hole, and that was U2's Bono. He was the rudest, nastiest person I ever met when I was working at the Hyatt Regency Buffalo. I don't know if it was mostly him or mostly the girlfriend or wife, whatever the hell she was. But I mean, every time I saw them, they were like fighting in the friggin' lobby. It's like, that's so crazy. You're in the public eye. You don't want to be looked at as, you know, a bad thing. Like, and I always tell my guys and girls, you know, in the insurance world, you know, we talk about insurance and annuities all the time, but that person that you're talking to, that might be the first and last time they ever talk to anybody about insurance. So they're going to remember freaking everything. And I do tend to remember the bad things more than the good things, you know. I only had one band ever that stiffed me on a tip, and that was the rock band Scorpions, because they were up in the top floors, and I brought up all their stuff, and all of a sudden, when it got time for tips, they didn't know how to speak English all of a sudden. So to this day, I still will not ever, ever, never listen to them, you know. And I'm pretty much gonna try to stick to a rock and roll bands that I met, because there's a lot of good stories too. Um, I talked a little bit about David Coverdale the other day with Whitesnake. When they stayed at the hotel, he was dating Tawny Katane at that time. It was the redhead that was rolling all over his car in the video. Super sexy. And she ended up, believe it or not, dating OJ Simpson. So I guess that's another story. And she was so freaking cute. And the one time I thought my eyes were going to pop out of my head, because she came down to the lobby and she had like the bib coveralls on, and that's it. She had no bra. She had no shirt. It's like, holy crap, you know? Another band that was interesting to meet was Aerosmith. And it was at the time when they were having a little bit of resurgence, and Steven Tyler was trying to get cleaned up. When I brought the stuff up to his room, it was flippin' amazing, because he had so many like supplements and, you know, holistic things to bring up. And he had to have at least 10 humidifiers in that room going at all time for his voice. But he's very nice, very pleasant, you know. And the rest of the band too. They couldn't be nicer, especially Brad, their guitarist. He had his family with him, and he would constantly come down and, you know, ask what was going on, you know, what he could do for his kids in Buffalo. And he was just a really nice dude, a nice family guy, which is very nice to say, because like I said, there's a lot of bad stories, but the good stories are good too. You know what I mean? So I don't know if anybody remembers, but back in the early days of MTV, they would put out VHS cassettes of like bands and like they're on tour and blah, 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 blah. Well, if you look for the MTV tape about Aerosmith and that tour at that time, you'll see a very young Eddie Buffalo putting luggage into a limousine for Aerosmith. It was, I'm a star. One of the grossest things was when the Grateful Dead stayed at the hotel. You never saw them. You never saw them. But what you did see is all the people camping out around the hotel. It was just really gross. It really was. I can't believe they let them get away with that back in the day. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable. The boys in Van Halen, when they were Van Hagar with Sammy Hagar, they stayed for the longest time. A lot of times, these bands, they're routing through different cities, and sometimes they have a bunch of days off in between shows, and that happened with Van Halen and a couple of other different bands. And I never saw Eddie. Eddie was never with them, but Michael Anthony, Sammy Hagar, and Alex, they were huge tennis fans, and every day they would actually go to the Buffalo Hilton, when it was the Buffalo Hilton, because they had all kinds of tennis courts there, indoor tennis courts, and they would play tennis every day. And Alex was very, very, very nice. He really was. He was with somebody. I don't know if it was girlfriend, wife, or whatever, but they were very, very pleasant. So that was kind of interesting. One of my favorite stories, though, of all time is about the rock group Heart. Well, Ann and Nancy Wilson, they've had a long career, great voice on Ann, but it was my job to take up the luggage to Nancy's room, and you know, I've seen a lot of beautiful women in my day, especially there. And I got to tell you, she stopped me in my tracks when she opened up that door and I brought in the bags. I was like, oh my God, she was just gorgeous. It's amazing that a lot of times people look so different in person than they do on TV, video, movies, whatever. You know what I mean? So she was fantastic. But the funny part of the story, they were only supposed to be there overnight. But after their show in Buffalo, it was a humongous snowstorm. And they got stuck in Buffalo for almost a full week. And I can't believe I'm saying this because it sounds incredulous to me to actually tell people this. But Anne, she could drink. That big girl could drink, man. And during their stay, Anne drank the hotel, not a bar, the hotel out of Crown Royal. That's a lot of flipping Crown Royal, dude. It's like, holy crap. That's just hard to even believe. You know what I mean? I just think that was kind of crazy. And like I say, I tell all these stories, and I know my daughters, when they were younger, they're like, I don't believe it, you know. And then my daughter, Katie, my youngest, who acts like me, Katie Buffalo, she tells, like, she would tell her girlfriends in college all these stories about me. And I hated it. They started calling me legend, which was kind of embarrassing. But it's just, there's a lot of guys like me out there that have, you know, come in brushes with greatness, if you want to call it that. You know, I was a huge Kiss fan. And that the tour, I think it was the Animalized tour. It was their first tour where they went without the makeup, and it was only Gene and Paul. They were the original members. There was another guitarist and another. I don't want to destroy their names, so I'm not going to bother even trying. And two things stand out to me from Kiss's visit here in Buffalo. Well, I'm not in Buffalo anymore. I'm actually in Dallas, Texas. But when I was in Buffalo, I had to bring up the luggage to Paul Stanley. And I got to tell you, I don't know what it is with old rockers. I don't know if it's because of the long hair or whatever. They all look like somebody's aunt or grandma. And I'm like, oh, man, you should have kept that makeup on, buddy boy. But one of the things that was sticks out in memory to me is that they got a lot of makeup on, you know, and their costumes and everything. And they change outfits during the show. And I'm standing at the bellhop desk, and here comes Gene Simmons with two ridiculous looking women. I mean, they were almost as tall as him. I mean, they were just drop dead gorgeous. And I had to carry this garment bag of all his costumes that he wore, because he was still in makeup. He was still in his costume, the big freaking boots, everything, the whole shot. I mean, he was ginormous with those boots on. And what was really off-putting to me is that as I'm carrying the garment bag up to his room, it was still warm. It was actually hot from him wearing it and performing during the concert. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. Now, if you go to the Hyatt Regency in Buffalo now, you walk in, the bell desk is to the left, and there's the gift shop and the bathroom, the men's bathroom. And I go to use the bathroom, and who's standing next to me? Phil Collins. And some people say, well, did you talk to him? No, you don't talk to men when you're next to him in a urinal. Come on. But it was amazing how short he was. I mean, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, and I was a lot taller than him. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Michael Jackson stayed at the Hyatt for the Victory Tour. No one got close to him. They would always bring him in through the security entrance where employees would come in, where they would actually park the van and everything like that. And if I got 6 feet away from him, that was probably the closest I ever got to him, you know. Run DMC stayed at the hotel. No big story. They were just pleasant. You know what I mean? They didn't really have anything bad to say, you know, or good. You know, they just pretty much kept to themselves. And a lot of famous people, they do tend to keep to themselves because they're in the public eye all the time, and they just want to, you know, relax and wind things down. So let's take a little break here and talk about our next sponsor for the show today. And that's our friends, and you know them, you love them. It is EBI Agency, if it ever comes up. See all the fun Donnie's missing today? He could be on here doing this. We keep on expanding our insurance company to offer more products to our people and clients as soon as we can. And welcome to our herd. We are here to treat our clients like family and get them exactly what they need. Like Donnie Lowe says, it's not one size fits all. You can actually click on the puppy and you can find all about our pet insurance too, which people seem to really like a lot. Because face it, sometimes a vet costs you more than going to the doctors, you know. USA Benefit Group, another partner. EBI Agency is also partners of United Canine, and that's how we got involved with the pet insurance to provide it for all of Craig Hanna's people that belong to him. He's got a huge base watching them. And we also partnered up with our friend, Sharon Reyes. She's a wonderful woman. She's been through the ringer and she came out on the other side very well. She works for Keller Williams and McKinney, the Vaughn real estate team. And if you need to buy a house, rent a house, retail or you know, business property, get a hold of Sharon Raiders. It's 469-545-3117. And another thing that we did is we talk a little bit about our services with asset management, financial consultation, financial checkup, and employment. A lot of people coming to me wanting to find out about this profession. And I said to a lot of people, it was the biggest secret I've ever heard of, because I was surprised that I was able to make the money that I have in the past. Get to know us, who we are. We pride ourselves on treating all our clients like family. Purchasing financial products can be stressful. We want to take all the stress out of your decision. We also want to educate you with I got to change that to 3,100 videos created to educate and entertain. Just click on the microphone and you can do that right on the page. And then you can hear all our audios on Spotify. You can actually go to this carousel of fun and find the episode that you want to watch on YouTube right from EBI Agency. Another good partner that we have is Combined Insurance. They are the oldest insurance agency in the world. They were founded in 1792. The first insurance that they paid out on was a house fire in London, England. And I really love their product, Out of Pocket Minimizer. I hate paying copays. I never heard anybody say, "Oh, I love paying copays when I go to the doctor." Well, with the Out of Pocket Minimizer, that'll minimize the amount that, if anything, that you have to pay on copays. A little bit of artwork. And then we moved on to our perks for our clients and watchers of the show. And what we did is we have promo codes for all of the sponsors that are with us. And as you can see, there's a ton of them. And I haven't even added the new one, Copper North, which I'll be planning on doing today. But check us out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, that's what we're here for. I always tell people, I don't need to know what you do for a living, because, you know, that's what you do for a living. I wouldn't know somebody that installs windows or, fixes cars or that. And I don't expect you to know about life insurance and annuities because, it's such an exciting thing to talk about all the time. I really enjoyed myself when I was a bellhop in Buffalo. The only bad thing, if Buffalo was a tourist town, I would have probably be there today, still bellhopping, All right, I think the Hyatt Regency changed hands. I don't even know if it's open right now, unless they rebranded and everything like that. But it was a great experience, especially because you got to learn how to work with people, all different kinds of people that would come in and out, And one of my favorite stories, and even though this is a rock and roll show, I have to end the show with a fun story. I'm a huge Saturday Night Live fan. I have been my whole life. And this person I'm talking about, I'm like, I can take him or leave him. But I had an interesting experience with him. So I picked up an extra shift. I was being a doorman that day. I had a long red coat on, a funky pill hat, and I'd be my job to open up the doors of the cars, ask people if they need help and things like that, and get them inside. And this dude gets out of a cab when cabs were everywhere, where we didn't have Uber and all those other things. And he's got like a garment bag thrown over his shoulder, and I'm like, geez, that guy, he looks so familiar. And I had, at that time before, a lot of my relatives, my older relatives have passed away, but on both sides of my family, my mom came from a family of 13, and so did my dad. He came up from a family of 13. So, that's 26 people with kids and relatives and things like that. So the chances of me being related to somebody were pretty damn good. And I'm like, excuse me, you look super familiar to me. Are we related? Are you from Buffalo? He goes, no, I'm not. I'm just here for business. I go, okay. I go, well, listen, if you need anything, I'm Eddie, let me know. And welcome to Buffalo, New York. He goes, isn't that special? It was freaking Dana Carvey, and he was doing his church lady voice. I'm like, son of a bitch. You never know. So it was a good lesson on how to treat people. You see famous people all the time and you hear horrible stories. And I told a couple bad stories, but that was not the norm. I have a lot more stories. I think maybe next week I'll talk about the movie stars that I met and the TV stars that I met too, because I have a really funny story about the gentleman that played Les Nessman on WKRP. And little trivia thing that I didn't know until probably a week ago when I was watching a thing on YouTube, that they had all kinds of problems because they wanted to use certain call letters for the TV show and it wasn't originally called WKRP. So they tried to contact the real station that had those call letters of WKRP, and they were all about it. Oh, this is great. This is fantastic. We would love that if you did it. So lawyers got involved, and it never ended up happening. And the writer of WKRP was a smartass, and he's like, you know what? This is bullshit. I'm just going to do something and see if it flies. So as you see the call letters, WKRP, the reason he called it WKRP is because the W is for we are, and then KRP, crap. And none of the censors, none of the bigwigs in Hollywood picked up on it. And so I thought that was a fantastic story. So I want to thank everybody for spending their time with me today. This was a self-indulgent show talking about my brushes with greatness. Hopefully Donnie Lowe will get feeling better. He'll be on all the shows next week. We sure hope so. And I'm going to end the show like I end every other show. If you like working with people that are just like you, have the same values that you do, have the same passion for life, and love your kids as much as we do ours, we're the people you need to be working with. You can go to our beautiful website that I had up a few minutes ago, ebiagency.com. You can also email us at eddiebuffaloinsurance@gmail.com. And the hotline is 716-541-4118. Once again, thank you for being with us. And remember, life is definitely worth living. You just got to keep on fighting, baby. Have a nice weekend, everybody. Stay safe.